Welcome to Africa's first ROG arena. Woo!
cars.co.za.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Pro Series is back, and welcome to the first round of the 2022 edition of the Pro Series. My name is Ernest Page, and I'm joined by Dan the Man Haynes in Somerset West, all the way in Somerset West, but both of us are based in Cape Town, South Africa. But Daniel, there is a slight difference with this ATK Pro Series because this is not just the South African Championship. This is, well, I'm going to say it like this. We're going international, baby.
Oh, that's awesome. It's so exciting to be back. It's been a long time coming, and I'm stoked to be here. And like you say, there will be a few people that will be familiar with the ATK Pro Series because we've had a couple of seasons, very successful season, finding the fastest South African driver in the country. But now we're going worldwide, baby. We really are. There's drivers from everywhere. So we get to see finally how the best of South African talent stacks up against the rest of the world. So
and that's
exciting.
Exactly what this is, Dan. This is exactly what this is. Exciting, and the best drivers in South Africa. Zahir Essa, of course, our Pro Series champion, and he was at the top of the seeding yesterday. So that just goes to show that our guys can perform at an international level. We had no doubt that Zahir Essa had the pedigree, but we've got a whole bunch of big names here. We've got George Boothby, we got Una Savalainen, we got Harry Spires, and then of course some local names as well that many of us would recognize. Tariq Adam, and then Philip Minard, who you pointed out to be one of the guys to watch. Bashir Jadbot, of course, in the mix, Morgan McCall, and many others. And if you look on the screen now, all of you guys watching on the stream, welcome to the ATK Pro Series. You can see our sponsors over there, and without any of these companies, none of this would be possible. So fantastic list of sponsors that we got behind us backing the Pro Series. And another change, Dan, is the fact that this has gone one make. I'm kind of okay with that because the Pro Series and the ecosystem that we're playing in at the moment has other championships running with multiple cars running on the grid, but this is the one make series where all cars are the same and the drivers have to pucker up and show who really is the best out there in the world.
For sure. We're so proud to have Mercedes-Benz being a title sponsor once again this season, and to reward them, it's going to be a one-make class as we get to see the Mercedes-AMG go around here at Kyalami today as we go to track right now. And it's fitting because they were the winner of the Kyalami 9-hour, as we know, in February as well. So they get to show off and fill the entire grid. And what a grid it is, as you said. It's a mixture of South African talent along with the best from the world. We've got drivers from Finland, Italy, Germany, Brazil, France, Netherlands, Austria, even a driver from Ukraine, Oleg Pitchek from Kyiv in the Ukraine gets a special mention, finished 23rd in the seedings. But we really don't know where this is going to fall. Obviously we have our seeding times, but looking at the number of laps people have set, we've got a driver like George Boothby from the UK, finished second, only set 3 hot laps to get his time of a 140.252, which is only a 10th off Zahir Essa. So he was like 3 laps, I'm done. And he's got quite the CV, just looking at his SIMGRID stats. Now we're partnered with SIMGRID. We get to check up on these drivers. So George Boothby from the UK has 69 starts with 12 wins and 26 podiums. Harry Spires in 5th position took my fancy, 100 starts, 32 wins, 47 podiums. So 47% of the races that Harry Spires enters, he ends up on the podium. So it just gives you an idea of the quality that we have to expect from our international drivers as well.
That is unbelievably nuts. And we were talking about this early on in our little pre-race meeting. We might not get some of the names 100% right. And one of those names, Ieza, also a very respectable CV. Robin Schaefer has got a 70% chance of being on the podium if we go according to his stats, and ranked one of the 9th fastest drivers on the SIMGRID out of almost 40,000 drivers. So Samir Fosh, another one who's a bit of a prankster, and multiple wins on SIMGRID and multiple podiums. And you can check out his Twitch stream. He should be streaming this live as well. So we've got a star-studded list of international drivers, but let's not forget our local stars, Zahir Essa being one of them, of course, Heineke in the mix there as well. McCall, and then of course Bashir Jadwat in there, Strauss, Corne Strauss on that list. And these are all familiar names to those on the South African SIMGRID scene, but sim racing scene. So we are all holding our breath here to see exactly how this pans out, because this is what it's all about. Let's put the best up against each other and figure out what's happening. Dan, you mentioned earlier on that Kyalami, we know it so well. Well, the two of us spent 9 hours commentating or casting on the virtual Kyalami 9 hour, and then doing the same for the actual Kyalami 9 hour. So if Dan's voice sounds familiar, it's because he was the commentator for the Kyalami 9 hour. I'm just saying you because I don't want to brag about myself here.
Yeah, obviously you were there with me there as well. What a month that was in February. But yeah, pros. I mean, we've got another name. It will be familiar to South African. Prince KB finished 41st. Famous musician turned sim racer now, and I see he has the silver arrow literally tattooed on his neck. So no wonder he entered this championship being a Mercedes-Benz AMG series. So it'll be interesting to see how he transitioned from the music world into the sim racing world. So special shout out to Prince KB. He was 41st in seeding, to see whether he can finish a little bit higher as we go into qualifying. 22 minutes left of this qualifying session.
Well, Prince KB, lots of support for him. He's got 1.6 million followers on Instagram. And I mean, that's just insane. If you look at his pictures, it's mostly Mercedes-Benz. I see a 570.
Exactly.
I see an AMG GT. I see a whole bunch of others. I see a G-Wagon. So he's all about that Mercedes-Benz life. So Prince KB in 34th position at the moment. Hopefully going to be making his way further up the order. But someone that's not he's a bit new to sim racing, but has really worked his way and become part of the community. Apparently, he travels with his rig in a flight case, so wherever he is in the world.
As you do, don't you?
Oh, is this normal for guys like you, Dan?
No, I was being... Yeah, I just assumed you would, Ernest, but yeah, obviously, it shows you the dedication he's got to sim racing, and I very much approve of that as well, because it's becoming quite a serious sport, isn't it? And there's a lot up for grabs here this season in ATK and the Pro Series throughout the range of championships that they've got going. One on the R Factor 2, which you've already done last week, and we have Gran Turismo 7 joining the ranks as well next week. And then the best sim racer from all three series will eventually, at the end of the series, the South African best, will be invited down to the ATK headquarters to really fight it out to see who really is the fastest sim racer across all three of those titles.
There's so many titles up for grabs, so many prizes up for grabs. We've got massive prize pools up for grab in this, and of course we've also got tickets to the Kyalami 9 hour later on in the year. So guys, stay tuned for this, because this is a incredible opportunity on so many levels. So I'm excited to have all these guys locally and internationally taking part. We've got 20 minutes of qualifying left, and slowly the guys are now starting to figure out the order, if you will. And I'd love to see what's happening further up the order. There we now with Gooden in 21st position, Juliet. And we've got a whole bunch of other drivers here. Almost 50 were on that list initially. So it's going to be an absolute cracker out there. It's going to be a little bit busy out there on the circuit.
It really is. Getting a time in is going to be difficult, trying to find that gap. 50 cars on this grid. It's quite a long lap here at Kyalami, but it's difficult to try and find that space. We've seen it in the past. Currently we've got George Boothby, the UK guy. Obviously, I might be slightly biased as we go into this series, but he is leading the standings right now, provisional pole, ahead of the Finnish driver of UV Salvalainen in second place.
Are you biased because he's from the UK, or because he also likes Guitar Hero?
Yeah, I remember reading that. He's like a Guitar Hero champion turned sim race. I thought that was a very strange transition.
Very strange. But that's clearly he does. That's not the only thing he does. He's involved in a whole bunch of other things. He's competed on a high level in many things, and he seems to be one of those guys that
whatever he does, he's good at.
Yeah, whatever he does, he's good at. I mean, he started simming when he was 4 years old, as we all did with Gran Turismo, played Toka touring cars. But recently, and not that long ago, picked up full flight sim racing, got the whole rig and set up and all that stuff, and has since done a whole bunch of Kyalami 24-hour races and won a couple of them as well. So he knows the circuit backwards. A big fan of the circuit, the South African Kyalami circuit, of course, and has visited us here virtually many times. So he should be one of the guys to watch today.
I think a lot of people are fans of this circuit, including myself, having been there. It massively impressed me. I cannot say how impressed I was with it. I've been to quite a few, been lucky enough to be to quite a few international circuits, having been born just outside of Silverstone. And Kyalami's right up there, eh? Really, really high standard. Obviously, a lot of talk right now of it joining the F1 calendar shortly.
Ooh, we hope so.
A lot of F1 drivers actually saying that it's the one race they hope to see next on the calendar. And I think this game as well has really pushed it on in the sim racing community as one of a favourite tracks. It's fitting that we start here, obviously being a South African league, but with an international flavour.
Yeah, indeed. As we go on board with Zahir Essa, our favourite. He's got the Z on the side there. He's our pick of the South African bunch at the moment, the fastest in seeding. And man, the car is fantastic in that colour, doesn't it, Zahir Essa? A Pro Series champion. And I mean, you must know he's been racing for many, many years. Ashley Oldfield from Cars.0.0, one of our sponsors, actually won the Gran Turismo competition a couple of years ago to go race overseas. And he told me, even back then, him and Zahir Essa were fighting tooth and nail. So Zahir's been a long-standing member of the sim racing community and has always been competitive and always been at the sharp end of the field.
Yeah, I think he'll be a familiar name to a lot of these international drivers already anyway. It's a good export for us, it's Zahir Essa in the ACC community. And he's gone over to race quite a lot of the SIMGRID championships and has got some wins under his belt as well. So he'll definitely be known. They'll also be familiar with the likes of Bashir Jadwat, incredibly fast driver, Tariq Adams as well, currently sitting in 11th place. But the fastest South African right now is Philip Minnaar. He's in the pits, but he's in third position currently with a 140.495, which is a couple of tenths quicker than Zahir Essa. And he's a slightly new name to people, and an incredibly quick driver that's really come on leaps and bounds in ACC in the last sort of year or so. And I've spectated and commentated on a few races of him, and he's been battling it out in another local series with Zahir Essa all year long. Zahir Essa did eventually pip him in the last round, but interesting to watch. So another quick South African to look out for in third position of Philip Minnaar.
Well, Philip Minnaar is one of the names that you actually mentioned to me when we were talking about who's to watch. You told me Philip Minnaar is one of those guys to watch out for, and clearly he's been climbing his way up the ranks. I mean, we've seen him in events before, and the last time I casted one of his events, he was obviously quick, but not right up there. But you say the last couple of months he's leveled up big time.
Yeah, it really has. He's come on leaps and bounds. Most improved driver I've seen for quite some time. So keep an eye out and see whether he can keep that. Obviously, 60-minute race. So it's a bit more of a sprint race than anything else. So we're familiar watching the 9-hour virtually and in real life, but here 60 minutes, these guys are going to be going absolutely flat out. No compulsory pit stop required. So maybe some interesting tactics. Probably a few drivers possibly coming in for a splash and dash if they fuel lightly, but I wouldn't be expecting tyres to be changed.
Well, it's not a compulsory stop, so the drivers don't have to stop if they don't want to. So more than likely we might see the guys go flat out for an hour. And I mean, for guys like us, we're so used to commentating on longer races. An hour, in ACC terms, that's a flippin' sprint race these days, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. Endurance racing has become quite familiar, but I think it's a good length of time, and it's going to be a great series, 6 rounds. And this is just the first one, and this is where some of these international names will start to make themselves known in the South African community and vice versa. So as the season goes on, we'll get more and more familiar with these guys. Like I said, as Ernest said before, if we get some of your names wrong, please mention it to us in Discord, so in future rounds we get it right. But yeah, because you've got a UK and a SAFA in commentary booth, and not the best with some of these European names.
I've been practicing them, but I could have been practicing them incorrectly. So
exactly, I'm saying,
that's
yeah,
my
exactly.
big concern. That's my big concern. That I've been literally going through the names one by one. For example, someone that we might need to look out for, Juna Savalainen, is in the mix as well. There we go, second position at the moment, and he is definitely someone. We're going to have to get that name right, because I do think we're going to be mentioning it pretty often.
I think we will do. The Finnish driver, isn't he? So that's a good start from him in qualifying. We've only got 14 minutes, halfway to go. There'll be a few drivers just starting to panic if they haven't managed to get a quick time in. Bashir Jadrat, I see, is just pushed up into the top 10 as well, and is currently up on his deltas. So I'm going to start watching deltas, because right at the death is where it gets really interesting qualifying session. Bashir Jadrat's currently 2/10 up on his fastest time so far, so looking to improve.
Well, Dan, look at that top 10. I mean, 140.7 gets you in the top 10, and a 140.3 gets you the lead. So you got 4/10 of a second or thereabouts, under 4/10 of a second. That separates the top 10. Top 5 separated by 1.5 tenths, if you can believe it. So, I mean, this is as close as it gets. It's like watching a Formula 1 race of late, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not surprising though, because these guys have been lapping this in seeding for a month. So, I mean, you look at some of the laps. I mean, I've already mentioned that some drivers thought, no, 2 laps is enough, I'll get myself qualified, and no worries. But the likes of Tariq Adams did 150 laps during seeding, so he's certainly and already incredibly familiar with Kyalami, trying to make sure he gets as high up in that seeding chart as he can. But yeah, Savalainen in second position only posted 2 hot laps, and was enough for 4th place. So as you say, we're definitely going to have to make sure we get that name right, because we're going to be seeing quite a bit of it.
I've got the stream open here, so all you guys watching, welcome to the Mercedes-Benz ATK Pro Series 2022 round 1 here at Kyalami, a circuit that we all know and love. And I see you've got some familiar names over there. Warren Barkhuizen is all the way in Dallas. Corne Strauss says must be nice, and says hello from Durban instead. Robert McCall, Big Daddy McCall in the stream as well. Jordan Shed, good luck to everyone driving. Of course, wishing Tariq and Zahir luck as well. We've got the animal saying, let's go Zahir, let's go Tariq, and Noor Hendricks, another familiar name in the stream. So a lot of our supporters, Luke Addison, and also in the group over there, but not racing by the looks of things. So lots of familiar names in the stream, but we haven't even started yet. It's still qualifying, still 10 minutes to go, and lots of action up ahead, as that is Matthias Voss makes his way through in the 222 car, number 12, and sorry, 12th position in the 222 car. Nice liveries. He bounces his way down the mine shaft there, getting a lot of compression and bounce on that suspension there. Dan, do you think that's a setup decision or the car itself?
Well, that's what's going to be interesting through this series, isn't it? And then why I quite like having a single make, because before you just get guys going, oh, yeah, the BMW this is a BMW track, or this is a Porsche track. Now it's like, no, it's all Mercedes tracks. So the only thing they have got is individual setup. So for sure they can try and find something, but at the end of the day, each one of these car drivers are in the same machinery. So when they come out on top, there's no blaming the vehicle. You're not saying, oh, I wasn't good here because Mercedes isn't suited traditionally to Kyalami. Everyone's in the Merc. And so it's going to be interesting. That's a change. And another change is obviously now we've got our friends from SIMGRID. They're also providing live stewarding for this series as well. So we've got international stewards, and Jason Salford will be the head steward from SIMGRID that will be looking over this race with great interest. I was in the driving briefing earlier, and particularly these drivers with 50 cars on the grid have been told to be very careful on lap 1. Lap 1 incidents will be looked on and punished heavily.
Well, lap 1 is not where you want to be having incident. The race is not won on the first lap, and but in the red mist subsides, or the red mist starts hanging over your visor, then sometimes all that happens in drivers' briefing goes out the window. But these drivers have been forewarned, and going into the start of this race, they need to take much care, because as you say, the race isn't won on their first lap. They've got to make sure they make it through the first lap. There'll be many cars on the grid, and when you've got guys that are so closely matched, I mean, this is basically a Polo Cup race over here, isn't it? Because all these guys are going to be driving exactly the same machinery, going for exactly the same corner, all with lap times within half a second of each other for at least at the moment the top 10 within about half a second of each other. I mean, that's just insane.
Very expensive Polo Cup, isn't it? But
yeah, we've just on first, by the way.
Yeah, I was just about to say we've just missed our Essa going top, and it was a 140.142, which is actually even quicker than his seeding time that topped the seeding charts as well. So a fantastic lap from Zaire Essa. Finally managed to carve himself some free track ahead of him and put in an absolute flyer over Harry Spires, who's currently in second place, which is only a 10th back.
Yeah, Spire's in the pits at the moment, so he's going to be watching on to see what happens as we now go on board with Zahir Essa once again, and he's cutting down on his delta. As you can see at the top right of the screen over there, you can see he's about 8 tenths down at the moment, and now he starts another lap, fresh, new eyes, new lap. Now he's going to try and beat that time, but even with being on pole position, he's got the rest of the laurels. We've seen it.
Philip Minard's up on his delta. He was 2 tenths up on his delta, was coming to complete a lap, but he's got traffic, so that might be an issue for him. I was just thinking that could be someone that would be jumping up a couple of places, but that just demonstrates the difficulty in finding a full lap of clear track here, because he was clearly up and he got to Crocodiles, and that was it. He had to lift.
Yeah, you can see actually that last corner over there, he set up that last corner like it was a hot lap. You know, the guys take a slightly tighter line when they're going on their fast lap, but if they're setting up a hot lap, they take a much wider line to get as much speed down the Kyalami main straight as possible. And you've stood on that Kyalami main straight and discussed the detail and nuance of what is actually the first corner, the little kink towards the left-hander, which is technically turn 2. I mean, what an approach to a first corner, isn't it?
Yeah, Crowthorne, turn 2. Turn 1, which is the kink, it is officially a corner because it's more than 15 degrees, and anything more than 15 degrees gets classified as a corner by the FIA, so that's why as we watch now, this first is this little kink, but it's a nothing corner, apart from we had water flowing across the circuit during the actual race, basically the entire time.
Yeah. We heard later.
Yeah. And it definitely unsettled a few of the cars, but not a problem as they went into the braking zone, apart from their tyres would be slightly cooled and damp. But yeah, that Crowthorne was where we saw quite a lot of passes in the real Kyalami 9 out. It's a natural overtaking spot, and we've seen a bit of a mess here.
William Wentworth down in the order in 37th position at the moment. As this one is Bernard King. Now Bernard King, we've seen him before in the Lexus, and now a lot of these guys, Dan, something we need to also touch on is that yes, it's a one-way seat, but some of these guys aren't used to the front engine setup. How do you think that's going to affect some of these drivers today? And who here has an advantage having come from a Mercedes?
Yeah, so Mercedes drivers that I know about is Morgan McCall, obviously ATK driver, sponsored driver, and he has been driving Mercedes for a few seasons. I think it's the car of choice for him. Philip Minard also has actually been driving a Mercedes all of this season. Zyress has been in the McLaren 720S generally, so this is a new switchover as far as I'm aware for Zyress to take on the Mercedes-AMG. But it appears that if you're quick in something, you're quick in everything, can't you? Because Zyress hasn't had any difficulty in transitioning brands from a mid-engine McLaren into a heavy front-engine Mercedes.
Yeah, we've only got 6 minutes left. Spires has yet to do something about that hard charging Zahir Essa with a 140.142 there up on pole position. Spires over there in second position. We can now go on board with George Boothby, the guitar hero.
He's 3 tenths up. He's 3 tenths up on his delta. Oh, he lost it through, Crocodiles, that section there. He lost 2 tenths, but he's having a good Ingwe. Exxon Ingwe, he's gained a tenth. 2 tenths up on his delta here. George Boothby should be going up the order.
George Boothby goes up to third position. Boothby goes up to third position there, looks like it. And fantastic performance from him, goes right up all the way from 6th to 3rd place. So you are 100% spot on there, and he knows there's more in it. But second row of the grid at this stage is not a bad start.
No, not at all. I mean, that's solid. And we got but we got a South African leading it, which will be nice for home fans. These international guys will want to prove that they can fight it with him as well. Harry Spire's job, but look how tight it is at the front. It really is. Between a tenth separates the top 3.
Absolutely nothing. Zahir Essa, the number 71 car there in the green car. Watch out for that livery. And of course, these guys also running custom liveries, Dan. We saw them submitting those liveries over the last couple of days. And obviously, it's funny to read the rules. It's got to be family friendly. And of course, these guys aren't allowed to use copyrighted pictures. They've got to be come up with original designs if they can. And just shows you, just look at how cool Zahir's car looks in that livery. They really personalize the car, and makes it a little bit easier for us to spot in all the chaos, which will no doubt ensue at some stage of today's race.
Yeah, we'll get familiar with some of these liveries as we go on, and that's one of the extra nice features of ACC, isn't it? The quality of the grid, and we've got 50 cars to keep an eye out on as well, haven't we? So it's going to be very interesting. Some of these guys get full-on design companies these days. I know Zairessa uses the yellow design company for that masterclass livery, but it's his colours. It's like a lime green with black, but they always look pretty sharp. I'm used to seeing him in a McLaren, but it's slightly unusual now for me to be commentating on him with a whole new brand with a Mercedes. But he's doing great with only 3 minutes to go. He's got provisional pole locked out currently, and it's a quicker time than we had in a whole month of seeding practice as well. So it looks a little bit ominous for other drivers.
Jeez, and this is the mind games that someone like Zairessa is absolutely good at. It's something that's perfected over time. With just 3 minutes of qualifying left. I mean, imagine seeing the fastest ever time you've seen in the entire month leading up to this getting set on the day by the guy that was fastest in the season yesterday. That's a mental hammer getting thrust upon the heads of all of these drivers here by Zairessa.
Yeah, it really, and it's something I'm used to. He always tends to just hold a little bit back, doesn't want to show his full hand, and you want to offer that quickest time, personal best, when it counts, and that's right now. Can anyone else at the death with 3 minutes to go put a challenge up for it? That's what we're interested to see.
Fires is carving through traffic, but not much in it. He's 1/10 of a second down on his own time at the moment. And you can see there's so many cars on the circuit, so that's going to make it difficult. Tariq Adam over here is currently slightly up, but ever so slightly on this lap. He's in 8th position at the moment, but so far nobody's threatening Issa at this stage of the running. We've gone board with Prince KB. Prince KB,
he's 2 tenths up. I was just about to say, he's one of the guys that is on improving. He's in 29th position, which is way higher than his seeding time, and he's going to cross the line now, 2 tenths up on his delta, so he should jump up from 29th position, I imagine.
27th.
Indeed.
27th position, 2 places up. He's going to be happy with that. And as you always say, at the death, that's when he's making it count. He knows he's got just a couple of laps left in it. But 57 cars on the grid so far that I can see over here, and this is just absolute madness. 41 in total. So this is going to be an incredible race with many cars and many names to see all over the circuit, Dan. I must say, I'm not used to seeing this many cars at any sort of event, so we're going to have to get used to that one.
Well, we sort of, yeah, we saw it in the virtual Kyalami, but that's a 9-hour race, and Prince KB, we jumped away from him again, but he's 3 tenths up now, so he's finding some pace right at the end of this qualifying session. 4 tenths up, he's suddenly gone, so he's the fastest improving car on the circuit right now. We've still got half a lap to go. But yeah, it's going to be very tricky. I think there's a little bit more pressure in a 60-minute race to try and get that first corner right, or second corner, I should say, in Crowthorne. Because you just cannot help yourself to push. In a 9-hour race, you're prepared to maybe settle down a little bit more. So I really do hope that we do get a very clean start to this ATK Mercedes-Benz series. And it's a nice wide braking zone, isn't it? So Crowthorne at least offers a bit more of an opportunity than, say, Monza turn 1. So I'm keeping fingers crossed that we get through there safely.
Well, someone that does like Monza is in the list. There's a couple of drivers that like Monza, but one of those drivers, Samir Fosh, Iezi, had some respectable performances, even won at Monza. So if there's anybody that can deal with that first corner, maybe it's him. But if we
Simon Aitzi from Italy. Yeah, I should be quite good for Italy. I spent quite a lot of time with that one, so I'm pretty sure it's Simon Aitzi. But yeah, in 6th position currently.
There we go. Yeah, you got to say it with your hand, sort of, your hand held in the air like that. And this is the end of qualifying, folks. Issa in first place at the moment. But it looks like it might stay like that. Spies in second.
Savalainen's 2 tenths up in 4th position. 2 tenths up.
Oh, Savalainen goes up to 2nd position. Savalainen goes up to 2nd position.
There's a few people improving right at this last opportunity. Now Boothby's just lost that time. He's level on his delta though.
But just look at that. I mean, this just shows the professionalism of these drivers. Boothby and Menard up at the moment. They are just up. Hopefully that might make a difference. It'll be interesting to see how the seeding lines up with what we're seeing in front of us here today.
Yeah, this is their last opportunity. They know it. You just push as much as you can. One advantage of being in the sim world, it doesn't matter if you've been it, you're still going to be starting the race. No, you just plant that foot down and you just give maybe a little bit more. You never know. Sometimes you get lucky, but this is your last possibility. There's a bit of traffic still ahead, though, which isn't ideal for Boothby as he comes to complete down the mine shaft. Minar's finished his lap, didn't improve. So it's George Boothby's a 10th up. It's whether he completes.
We're going to ads shortly, and we'll be back after this with the racing. It's going to be an insane bunch of racing, so stay tuned. Well, folks, we are back with the action, and on your screen there, you not just see the beautiful face of Daniel Haynes and myself right next to you. You also see our sponsors on the screen that make today possible. Dan Haynes, the qualifying was ever so slightly different from what we saw in seeding yesterday, but Essa still remains on top of the order.
Yeah, he pulled that time out, almost matched his seeding time. In fact, it was a little bit quicker than his seeding time. Managed to pull it out when it mattered with only 30 minutes, not a whole month to do it. So yeah, it's a good benchmark to lay down for everyone else, isn't it? But we've got some very, very quick international drivers behind him that'll be looking to try and progress in this race.
I've got the list over here. We've got Zaid Essa in first place. He got seeded in first yesterday. George Boothby, who seeded second yesterday, is currently sitting in third position. We've got Tariq Adam quite a bit further down the order. Unfortunately, he's in eighth place, and he was running third yesterday. Savalainen was fourth, is now in second place. So the top 10 is looking very similar. We're going to do a grid walk now and walk you guys through this. The top 10 is looking similar, but they have changed it up ever so slightly. And there we go. In first place, you see Essa. Next to him, Savalainen. Boothby in the baby blue car on the right-hand side of your screen over there. To his right, we've got Spires over there in fourth position. Philip Minard coming into view now. And then after that, Ietzi right behind that. And then in seventh position, I'm going to slow this one down. We got Ogoronidikov. Did I get that one right, Dan?
I think it was close enough. I'm not going to challenge you.
So plenty new names on the grid there. But if we could see the CVs of these drivers as they sort of came into view, it would be an absolutely star-studded list of drivers over there. You just go past the number 19 car over there, and I mean, just look at the liveries of these cars. They look fantastic.
The whole grid looks impressive, and I've always had I really got on with the guys from Mercedes when we were at the Kyalami 9 hour, and sitting in one of these cars has suddenly become my new favourite. It was awesome, and it ended up winning in the hands of Jules Gounon. The real Kyalami 9 hour. So it was, and Marciello, obviously. And then they went on, and Jules Gounon took the Bathurst 12 out in the Mercedes-AMG as well a couple of weeks ago. So they're really on a roll, and it's fitting that we've got Mercedes-Benz is happening to sponsor this series. So what a race we've got in hold.
I've seen one up close at Port Elizabeth race the other day, Son Moodley piloting it. And man, it's what an impressive machine. What an impressive machine. It looks and sounds imposing, and dare I say, it sounds better than many of the other cars on the GT grid.
It looks mean as well, doesn't it? And it
Yeah.
sounds mean. And it is, and it was absolutely exceptional during the Kyalami 9-hour. Ferrari didn't have anything to answer them in the AF Corsa team. So we'll see how they get on here. Historically, it hasn't been the quickest round, Kyalami, in Assetto Corsa Competizione. Maybe they'll start changing that with an update to reflect more of the real world situation. But as it stands, everyone is in the same machinery today. And look, we're still going on this grid. Cars are still coming at us.
Yeah, number 555, that's Strauss over there on the right-hand side of your screen. Next to him is Silver in that black car. Over there, Bernard King in the number 29th position over there, the 25 car to the right of your screen. We got Mecking to the left over there. Jacobs, Leroux, Knutzer, Trollop, Allison, Van Jaarsveld, Bellingen, Wentworth, Murphy, Barley, Fourie. The list goes on and on. We've got 41 drivers on this grid, ladies and gentlemen. We are about to go racing. The warm-up lap's about to start. Zahir Essa will lead us off. And here we go, folks. The flag has dropped to caution as the drivers now have to circulate one more time as the lights flash further down the grid over there. And these drivers will have to make their way around slowly. Zahir Essa leading us off finally. Savalainen right next to him. And the rest of the grid has to wait as the giant train of Mercedes-Benz make their way down.
The guy that starts last is a long way back, isn't he? He's basically right on the exit of Inglewood way before he goes, and it's going to be a long way down before he gets down to turn 2 at Crowthorne, but when he does, he'll be at the back of the pack. It's a long way to go. It's going to be difficult with traffic. I think traffic will play a big part in this race.
I mean, look at that. He's only just got moving now, but the front runners have been moving for a while, and just look where they are already going through this circuit over here. So the front runners way down the track. They're now making their way to Sunset, going through the right hand over here, and plenty action up ahead, I think, in this 1 hour race, because it's so compacted, because the timeline is so compact. These drivers have to push very hard, and that of course is the legendary Sunset corner. When you go through this corner, the sun literally goes into your eyes as it goes down, and it's very difficult to line up this left-hander up ahead. Oh, very close there. And of course, in a set of course, the drivers can touch on the warm-up lap. So Savalainen knows that, and manages to get a little bit too close to Zahir Essa. Zahir Essa looks cool, calm, and collected there at this stage, Dan.
Yeah, and all these drivers will have a process they go through to get their car into as good an operating window as you possibly can under parade lap conditions, because obviously in Assetto Corsa Competizione, tyre pressures, tyre temperatures are so important to getting your final lap time. So we've got Kyalami setting us off for round 1, but it's an international series, and we've got international tracks. Round 2 will be Laguna Seca, then we go to Spa for round 3, Nürburgring round 4, then the awesome Suzuka for round 5, and then we finish with an absolutely mighty circuit in Mount Panorama, Bathurst, where they battle with the walls. So what a calendar we've got to look forward to. Huge changes, a lot of different circuits. So arguably, you could say potentially South African drivers may have a bit of advantage, because let's be honest, when we first booted up the game, this was the first circuit we wanted to go on.
Well,
maybe
they
not
made us pay for it, didn't they? They made us pay with that exchange effect, didn't they?
That's right. But we were queuing up eagerly for it, whereas I think possibly Spa might be one of the more favourites for everybody else. But we're getting close to start round 1, and this series is going to kick off with a bang.
Oh, they are bunching up like a bunch of professionals over there. Menard tucking right in behind Boothby, Ietzi tucking right in behind Spires over there, and the two front runners leading us off. We've got Essa with Savalainen right next to him, right in front as they make their way now to the final corner. Dan, any final thoughts on your part before we start this thing off?
It's just fingers crossed we get through Crowthorne all in one piece. Let's see whether that happens. S is going to be in control on the inside line. Very important.
Indeed, Essa's got the inside line. Ladies and gentlemen, they are looking down the straight. They're waiting for those lights to go out up ahead. The countdown has begun for this, the inaugural round of the Pro Series for this season. Ladies and gentlemen, they cross the line. The lights are still here. Off they go. An even start by all the front runners at the moment. They're really going side by side in exactly the correct position. Yetzi goes ever so slightly forward to try and cut off Minna. Looks like Minna's going to dive down the inside. Further back, more was attacking, and Yetzi and Minna collide. Minna and Yetzi and Adam collide further back. But looks like the rest of the field is slowly starting to come through. But the front runners have now gone into single file, and they are slotting into position. And it looks like we've had a clean growth on that, as you so mentioned early on.
Yeah, a little bit of livery swapping there between sort of 5th and 6th position in Philip Minna, but apart from that, got through the first few corners very, very cleanly, and we are go here for round 1 at Kyalami. But Zayaresta, what a start he's got. Already starting to build just a very small gap, and we're only halfway through the first lap.
And Foch is out to the back there. Foch is being knocked out. Foch has spun and he's causing a bit of a collision further back. We can cut to that. There's a couple of cars that are connected with Foch further back. And Foch is Twitch streaming this at the moment, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm interested to see what he has to say about what happened there. But that's the only incident that I can see so far. That was further down in about 31st position. But we're now cutting. We see the damage on his car over there. But other than that, I don't see much other, at least, incidents at this stage. The drivers are keeping it clean for the most part, with our leaders so far staying pretty much in the same order. Zahir Essa still leading us off.
Still a massive battle at the front though between 2nd and 3rd position. Looks like Zahir Essa is capitalising, and whilst these two fight for 2nd and 3rd, he's managing to gap already after only 1 lap. But George Boothby got into 2nd place over Savalainen in 3rd, so the pass was made. I think it was through turn 10 and 11. Leocott at the top of the hill, the pass was made. So we've got a change, but Zahir Essa is enjoying these two scrapping behind him because he can just scamper off in the distance.
Indeed, and Minard, the fellow South African over there, also in the top 5 at the moment. The positions 2 to 5 are very, very close. Even 2 to 6, Yetzi also within striking distance. Igor is what I'm going to call the gentleman in 7th position, so I don't butcher that surname, is in 7th place at the moment. Behind him, Tariq Adam looking on. And Bauer, also a very, very well-renowned racer further back there. He's getting some pressure applied by Appel over there in 9th position. The battle for 8th and 9th position is currently waging through Sunset in the background there. But up front, everything is staying much the same. Appel and Bauer swapping paint at this time. And luckily, still in position as they now go into the essence. Is Appel going to make a move? Place to make the move though. It's very close indeed. But Appel does lean back, and Bauer manages to slot back into 9th position.
Side by side between the two German drivers in the S's is not recommended as he looks up the inside of Leocott. And look, we've got Bashir Jadwat comes around and gets 2 places.
Thanks, and Bashir Jadwat says thank you very much for that. I suspected one of them would spin out. They are still fighting at this stage in the background, but Bashir Jadwat, a big winner over here, and one of our favorites locally. Appel's going to try and go down the outside. That usually doesn't work, but this time he does make it stick though. They're going into the next corner, side by side. Once again, Appel's got the lead, but this is the corner where you think goes out, and it does, and it does. Bauer and Appel touch. Bauer touches.
What a save! I mean, he managed to keep that facing forward, and it was a mighty save, but he's lost positions as a result of it. But the two German drivers, I think this is probably not the first time they've been driving together, no doubt familiar to each other, but they tuck back further back and have to regroup.
Silver in the background, and we saw a car spearing off the track. That was Silver, Dan. Also one of my internationals, unfortunately spearing off the track, but back to the action in front.
Yeah, look how tight it is through Crowthorne, side by side. There's actions throughout the grid here. And we got matching liveries, so teammates going at it here, side by side. They just want to just try and settle down, but it's a 60-minute sprint race. There's no settling down.
There's no sitting down. Lights ablaze there. And in the background, you see Voss and Allen tagging it up. Allen down the inside of Sunset. Voss on the outside. They're going to try and line it up for the next corner. Look at Voss trying to line up the next left hand. He goes down the inside, makes the dive, but he's a little bit too far back. Allen now starts to, as you say, scamper off, or at least try to do so. But now the drivers are slotting in behind each other, but there are battles happening all over the place.
There really is. Yeah, I mean, I think the production team is probably desperately trying to keep track of it all. But in the meantime, we've got Zahir Essa just running away on his own. The benefit of having clear track in front of you. And then we've got the rest of the drivers scrapping behind. And this is exactly what the leaders want. Looks like George Boothby, since he's managed to get past Overlane in 3rd, is also managing now just to close that gap and keep Zahir Essa in his sights, which he wants to do to try and at least compete for this win. So much time to go. We're only 5 minutes into this race.
5 minutes in. Prince KB in the top 15. I see over there. We got Yetzi, yes. Prince KB in the top 15. Well done, him. Yetzi. I'm watching. I'm on board with Prince KB at the moment. And obviously, as I pointed out, he gets a little bit of a moment, and there he has an incident right now. So there's the commentator's curse for you right there.
Yeah, I'm glad it was you and not me. As we look at Philip Minnaar, he's got someone up the inside of him. He's got to go round right. He was wide there at Crowthorne. And that slots back, lose the spot.
That's Yetzi and Minnaar battering it out there, Dan. Sorry for cutting you off, Yetzi and Minnaar. Now that I've got Yetzi's name right, I want to say it all the time.
Yeah, it's a great name. The Italian name's always better than everyone else's, aren't they? So
yeah.
We'll keep a very close eye on Simon Yetzi.
Yeah, Simon Yetzi over there, currently in 5th position in the 858 car. And you can see lots of pressure coming from all over the place. Over there, we cut to Morgan McCall in 17th position. And doing pretty good, but he is down 5 positions from his start. So he's down 5 at the moment in 17th place. He's not going to be happy with that. Still getting lots of pressure there. It does look like the pace is lacking there. So slightly because he's getting a lot of pressure from behind.
I am loving this one cut sort of race. It's like you say, it's like a very expensive polo cup, isn't it? These cars are towing each other around, sort of argy-bargy, rubbing paint, swapping liveries in some very expensive machinery. But it's brilliant to see, because it's not what I'm used to. I haven't seen an AC sort of side by side through crocodiles.
Oh, Spires and Sutherland going side by side through the pot. You don't want to go side. Look at that. Spires, I've never seen that before. Spires around the outside and now gets the inside line for the final turn. Could he get across? Yes, he does. He closes the door. And I've never seen that done before, Dan. That was an incredible move by Spires.
Yeah, I didn't think there was enough space for 2 cars through there, but he managed to hold on to that inside line through Ingwe, and he's going to have it down to Crowthorne now, so it should be past cemented.
But this is one of those situations, as you rightly mentioned, Dan, when you've got cars that are this evenly matched, you can do that around the outside because you know exactly what the other car's capable of, and you know exactly what your car's capable of. Versus, these guys are tangling with each other big time here. This is right up front. Look at that push. Savalainen getting a bit of a push there, and Savalainen getting a push as Minnaar and
Minnaar's come through there.
Oh, big time. Minnaar's in 6th place now, and he's on the inside for the next corner, outside of Sunset, but inside for the next one. Let's take the long way down, though, and just look at this battle happening. And this is all the way for 4th position over there. Igor now in 4th place. Minnaar has slipped down, actually, Dan, and Igor has moved up.
Yeah, there's just no safe place. I mean, when you can make a pass on the outside of Cheetah, you know there's no safe place, because that is hard enough just to get one car through there. So it really is. These guys, if there is a gap, they will take it. But it's been very clean racing. We haven't seen a main incident yet, is it? It's very clean racing.
Very clean racing, and even with a little bit of touching over here, we haven't seen many of the guys spinning out. So the touches have all been quite light. But these guys are clearly the best of the best. But like I said, you do get this kind of racing when you got a one-make series. It's difficult to have this kind of racing when all the cars have different advantages at different spots on the circuit. But these guys all have the same advantage, bar the setup, of course, in the same places. So they know exactly what the other car's capable of, and they know exactly what their car's capable of too.
And this particular car probably makes a perfect one-race series, because I mean, you can have a little touches and manage to save it. It's like some of these others, like I'm thinking like the Lambo in ACC, very snappy. So it might be we're going to see this. I mean, it'll be amazing if we see this the whole series. I'm just cringing as we get so close up behind Philip. You're expecting contact to be made at any moment, but at any gap, these guys will take it.
And this is high-stakes contact, Dan. This is high-stakes contact because we're looking at the top 5 at the moment now. And the top 5 are so closely bunched together. Just look at that. Look at that as Savalainen comes through in 5th position over there. Minnaar is just behind him in 6th place. Yetzi just behind that. And then Adam right behind. And the Bashir Jadwat now slowly starting to creep closer to this charging train up ahead of him.
Yeah, and there's prize money for the top 10 as well. So like literally points mean prizes, and you want to get yourself further up in the field. So the winner takes 3,500 rand, second is 2,000 rand, 1,500 for 3rd place, and then it just keeps going down. But there's money at stake here.
Yeah, the top 3 have separated themselves ever so slightly. We now cut to Schaefer over there in 19th position, also very very accomplished racer, and I suspect because he's down 80 positions, you can see him always having a look there. He's trying to get past some of these slower cars, get out of the way as he goes down towards the mine shaft over there. I mean, just look at that, cannot get past. And this is because if you're in a one-make series, and I've raced a little bit of one-makes before, there's 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer an hour advantage to be gained in different spots. And once you lose that advantage, it's gone. And you can't gain it back on the straight because your car's got more speed on the straight. You can't gain it back on the next corner because your car's got more speed on the corner. You have to do technically the correct thing to give yourself the advantage. And if you technically try and do the correct thing to give yourself an advantage and make a mistake, you pay for that mistake by falling far, far down the order because the guys behind you didn't make that same mistake. This is such exciting stuff, Dan.
Yeah, 100% it is. Soberline and has dropped back into 5th place. You feel like he's... Yeah, and he's going to be Soberline and gets back up, hopefully, into 4th. They're going to go side by side on Sunset. You're going to go around the outside here. It's Soberline, and he is all the way around the outside of Sunset, and he'll have the inside now to Clubhouse, and that's going to be 4th place cemented.
Fantastic driving from Soberline there. Fantastic driving, fantastic performance there from him. I mean, Dan, this is world-class stuff. And just to think, we've got South Africans in the top 5, we've got South African leading. And just look at the kind of clean racing.
So Minard's got a problem. I think Minard got a problem. He moved way out and had a lot of cars pass him there. So I'm not sure what's gone on with Philip Minard down in 9th position.
Philip Minard
and just let guys drive through. This is very strange.
Very strange from Minard, but he's back in it now. The power's back down on Minard's car. We've got Minard in 9th place, Jadwat in 8th position, Tariq Adam in 7th position, Yetzi now in 6th place, but Savalainen and Igor are not giving up that 4th and 5th places. The two of them are battling it out, and I do suspect because of that battle happening there in 4th and 5th position, the rest of the guys are able to stay close.
Yeah, that's it. You can't, any mistake, and if you lose your rhythm, this is a bit of a rhythm circuit, isn't it? There's not huge amounts of time where you can just sit and regroup, like, say, for example, Spa. Here, you've got this long straight, but after that, it's frantic. And when you've got so many cars all around you, it's difficult to try and keep that concentration. At the moment, Zyressa is the only one really flying the South African flag with any true Goethe, because you've got, like, Tariq Adams all the way down in 7th place to the next Safa.
Yeah. Tariq Adams, yes, you're right. Minna now in 9th position. He was right up there. Bashir Jadwat in 8th position. But this train over here, it's not over yet. We've still got 47 minutes of racing, and we're just getting started, folks. Welcome if you've just joined us to this, the first round of the Pro Series 2022, the Mercedes-Benz Pro Series 2022. In case you missed it, I mean, if you're wondering why there's so many Mercs on the grid, this is a one-make series, and it's making for some sensational motorsport over here as we now cut to the battle for 3rd place, if you can believe it, Dan.
Yeah, and we got like a Soberline drop back into 5th, so there's a huge fight going from, say, 4th to 8th position. They're split by, in fact, back to 9th. They're split by nothing. Sort of 1 second covers 4 cars. So a bit of a train behind Igor in 4th.
Yeah, this is the battle for 4th place. I apologize.
Yeah, so but it could be anyone's, couldn't it? One slight mistake from any of these drivers, and the jump from sort of 8th up to 3rd is definitely on. And that's where Bashir Jadwat, who's very familiar for South African sim races for sure, and the ATK Pro Series as well. He's in with a shout, just holding on to the back of this tower. You just got to make sure you cling on to this group and don't drop from the slip.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's going to try and do. Bashir Jadwat's got lots of experience. He knows that when it comes into the last 50 minutes or so, these guys are going to all start making mistakes. And it's going to be a battle out there. So Bashir Jadwat probably realizes that 3rd, 2nd, and 1st are now outside of striking distance. So might as well just hang back there, wait for a mistake, apply some pressure, because he's in the best possible position now. He's got Minna quite a ways back on him now. So at least Bernard's got Guren quite a way back on him, and Bashir Jadwat and Minard maybe had a little bit of South African team tactics in. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, maybe. They'll be certainly familiar with each other, having raced a lot with each other, so they'll be sort of more in keeping with what they'd expect. But I don't think you've got no friends here, have you? If the position's there, you'll take it. And at the moment, the massive scrap is for this 4th position between the Russian and the Finnish driver. They switched places a couple of times, but it's the Russian that's currently leading in the 41 car. And the top 3 are enjoying the fact that these guys are scrapping because they're really gapping now. Essa, Boothby and Spires are just managing to stretch ahead.
Oh yeah, Zaire Essa has got a solid gap over there, but still not in the clear completely. But you got to wonder with Essa, does he have something extra in the bag, as he always does? I mean, he's a veteran of the sport and yet still so fantastically competitive, absolutely world class. And the battle further back is starting to heat up a little bit. If we can cut to that, we've got Jadwat and Adam. Adam getting some pressure from Jadwat, who's getting some pressure from Minard, and vice versa. All of these guys are applying pressure to the car in front or trying to defend for the car behind.
And as we go on with this race, 60 minutes, the fact that they'll be trying to keep this rubber for the whole race could be an issue, because it's not particularly friendly to its tyres from experience. So the guys that manage that tyre wear, and Zaire Essa is a bit of a masterclass at that, and it will help the fact that he hasn't had to do any scrapping with other drivers. So whether people start pushing and then they start losing time from worn tyres, that could be something to look out for. But we've still got so much time to go. 44 minutes to go. We've seen so many passes in 15 minutes. This is what we saw on the whole of the 9 hour.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, we got triple the amount of cars here, basically. So there's a lot more cars playing here, at least for the real 9 hour. But you're right, the virtual 9 hour wasn't as eventful as this, but you wouldn't get that in a 9 hour as much, because there the guys can be a little bit more measured. I think this is more of a firefight than snipers, World War kind of thing. With strategy, these guys are busy battling each other. We see someone go off the circuit there. That looked like Murphy, who's being lapped at the moment. So that's not one of our tussling drivers in the top 10. But just look at that string of cars as they make their way down the mine shaft.
I have to say, I know I'm not keep bringing it up, I'm quite impressed with Prince KB's performance, up into 13th position right now. So just to remind you, a whole month of seeding time, he was what, in 40th or something? I'm just looking at 41st position in seeding, but in the race currently running in 13th place. It's a great performance.
A fantastic performance from him, man. I mean, this guy's a legitimate celebrity, you know what I mean? 1.6 million.
He's a legitimate sim racer right now as well, isn't he?
But that's the thing. And that's the thing. He's obviously taken time out of his busy schedule to take this seriously, and we don't often see that. You know, you often see fair weather supporters for whichever sport is your poison. But Prince KB is not just Prince KB, the musician, celebrity, and philanthropist. I just threw that in there because it sounded cool. But he's also a legitimate sim racer now, one of the best at the moment.
Well, I mean, I know to be competitive in this, I know, I've done it myself, the amount of time you have to put into it is significant to actually put that sort of pace up. So he's clearly dedicated to the cause. So we'll see whether he can keep it up for the entire season, or even the entire race here, because we've got 42 minutes to go. But it's a great start from him up into 13th. There we say that he could maybe get into the top 10 by the end of this race.
Yeah, top 10 definitely on the cards for Prince KB if things go according to plan. But this is, as you mentioned, a sprint race, and we'll have to wait and see as these drivers battle it out. We're now on board with Morgan McCall, the ATK works driver over there, in 17th position, down 5 at the moment, and he's battling with McConnell in 16th place, just up the road. Bauer as well, and even in the midfield we've had some very big things from Bauer in the midfield over here. So, and McCall we know as well. So you got to say that these, just because these drivers are in the mid pack over here, doesn't mean that they can't compete in front. For whatever reason, they've slid down the order, and now they're battling it out with equally fast drivers in the midfield.
And this is where we get to see a bit of racecraft as well, because there's one thing to do seeding laps over and over and over again for a month, but when you've got 50 cars and you're fighting for position, you're taking different lines than what you're used to. That's where you really get to see the best. The cream rises to the top, and as we jump towards the top in our Savalainen in 5th position, we're just constantly fighting with the Russian and Igor in 4th. This is a scrap that's gone on for a good sort of 15 minutes, and it could carry on for the rest of this race at this rate.
Yeah, it has separated a little bit. Menard is a bit further back, Jadwat and Adam just a little bit further back. But this battle over here, Ietzi, Savalainen and Igor over there, is hotting up. Savalainen starting to apply some pressure now to Igor. Savalainen starting to apply some pressure now to Igor in 5th position. He is down 3 from his start. So he knows he's got the pace as they go through the S's, and look at the curve that they're grabbing with these Mercedes-Benz as the ATK driver starts to apply some pressure to McConnell. He in 60th position, goes down the outside. Ooh, that's a little bit wide over there. McConnell goes defensive and exits very nicely now, but he's not going to be able to make the overtake through the S's. He's going to have to bide his time till he gets to Newcomb. We've seen many overtaking done at Newcomb over the years, haven't we, Dan?
Yeah, up the inside of Leocop is the prime place, which is a very difficult, it's a blind sort of braking zone as it is. But we've seen passes here through Cheetah and the Crocodiles, just coming through the Crocodiles now. We're going to see, and surely not. No, he's not going to. This is not a place to pass. But I mean, we saw it, and then he lost the position later. So through Ingwe, getting an exit here of turn 16 at Ingwe is absolutely vital, because this is your long drag, and you're just trying to look up the inside of Crowthorne. And I think he's too far back.
Absolutely critical, but here they come now through turn 1 and into the first left-hander over here. Hard braking zone. Just look at how close he goes to the edge of the circuit, but just look at how close the driver behind him is, as Savalainen and Igor battle it out. Ietzi looking on and just waiting for an opportunity so that he can pounce and hopefully get that top 4 and eventually top 3 spot. We still 38 minutes of racing left, 22 minutes or so completed, so still plenty action to go, and you've got to admit, Dan, this must be a very high pressure situation for all these drivers.
Yeah, an incredibly high pressure situation for Savalainen in 5th position, because that is the worst place to be, where you've got a car that you're trying to pass in front, but you've got Ietzi behind you as well, and you know that he's just watching, waiting for any slight contact and doing what Bashir Jadwick did earlier and poked 2 places. So it's a horrible place to be, but doesn't look like he can do anything about it right now. Igor's making that Mercedes massively wide, isn't he, on quite a wide circuit as it is, but he's putting it in all the right places.
Well, Bashir Jadwick with that masterful overtake earlier on, so those 2 cars bumping, he spotted that and then immediately jumped onto that situation, taking advantage. He's running the same livery as Zahir, so the 2 of them obviously working together as South Africans, and let's see how that works out for them. So far, 2 of them both in the top 10, but of course Zahir leads us off. The gap now to Boothby, 2 seconds, so between 2 to 2.5 seconds. Boothby now 3.5 seconds. So it's fluctuating quite a bit depending on where they are on the circuit, but Boothby and Zahir Essa, a solid gap between the 2 of them. Spears also a little bit further behind, and Igor quite a bit further back as well, but the battle between Igor, Savalainen and Ietzi still rages on.
Yeah, and as you said, Zahir Essa and Bashir Jadwick teamed up earlier on in this year to become teammates, and they form a team called the Masterclass team, which is quite brave to be calling yourself the Masterclass, Sim Racing Masterclass. But Zahir Essa is winning the race, so it is a bit of a masterclass, isn't it? Yeah, and he set the fastest lap as well. 140.9 is his fastest lap of the race. No one else has been in the 140, so it really has been a bit of a masterclass from that team, and they help each other out with setup changes as well, so I think they complement each other quite well.
Well, the 2 of them working together must be a formidable team, because I've spent some time with Bashir Jadwick, incredibly talented, fantastic, humble guy.
And a very nice guy, isn't he? Super friendly, yeah.
I'm not going to say what car he's driving these days, but we bumped into each other on the side of the road one day, and he was driving his William Wentworth, getting into
It's German at least, we'll just say it's German.
Yeah, it's German. And he's got a fantastic performance car, and he wasn't shy to pull away fast to let you hear what it sounded like as the lights are flashing. The drivers trying to make their way through here. The action continues all the way down. I mean, just look at that, all the way down in 30th position, and these drivers are fighting it out. It doesn't matter where they are battling it out. Wentworth trying to carve his way through.
Yes, it's just a gaggle. I mean, there's so many cars on the circuit, it's not surprising we're seeing such battles. You go slightly wide there through Cheetah, so easy to do. If you mess up Cheetah, basically you naturally get thrown into the kitty litter and you have to let yourself off and regroup. But he luckily didn't have anyone side by side him at the time. Prince KB in 13th position, looking to make a move here. Covering that. He's not going to go around the outside of Crowthorne, is he?
Oh, hard on the brakes. There is he though. Let's wait and see.
The gap won't be there. No, it won't be. So you're going to have to come back and find another spot. You can basically force someone out wide if they try and go on the outside of Crowthorne, can't you? Just open the steering a little bit. I know it's a little bit naughty, but I mean, everyone will do it.
Well, you know the incident that I mentioned earlier on with Prince Katie? I think for that incident, he's got a 15-second penalty. We can see it on the screen here on our side. He's got a 15-second penalty. But I think 14th position, 14th position is within striking distance. He's going to lose quite a few positions, so he's going to get campering down into the distance if he wants to keep 13th position. But Prince KB has unfortunately earned himself a 15-second penalty. Dan, how does that affect your mental state at this stage of halfway through the race?
Yeah, that's unfortunate, isn't it? It really is, because we can see how many positions that could actually be. Obviously, he'll hope that it gaps out a little bit with 30 minutes to go and people start settling in. But you've got to try and put it out of your mind, and you've just got to think, push, it is what it is. But yeah, that is desperately unfortunate for Prince KB to get a 15-second penalty.
Yeah, a 15-second penalty for Prince KB is what he gets for his efforts. Jonas Silverleinen, though, makes his way down the main straight, and the battle up front continues. Silverleinen getting massive, there we go, onto Essa now in the lead car, but Silverleinen getting massive pressure over there, and the top 3, 4, 5 guys, or 4, 5, 6 guys, all within splits of each other. Ietzi still watching on here, and you've got to wonder, does Ietzi have some sort of plan up his sleeve here to dispatch of Silverleinen and Igor, who's now currently sitting in 4th position?
The 4th, 5th and 6th just split by absolutely nothing. I think Simon Ietzi is just happy just to watch and see what unfolds and just hold on to these two, because it feels destined to happen, doesn't it? As time goes on, as laps progress, it's going to be a Silverleinen is going to start looking a little bit more desperate. It's 33 minutes, you can keep your patience, can't you? But the longer that Igor stays in front of him, the more confident he'll feel that he can defend effectively.
Yeah, confident indeed, and hopefully the confidence will build up, because if they can't get past him, and he knows exactly where he's fast, where they're not fast, where they're fast, and if he can defend it, you know, it makes it a lot easier, especially in a one-make series. You kind of know that, look, this guy hasn't got any pace on me anywhere on the circuit, and he can't make an overtake because he needs a little bit extra in certain spots. So you can kind of make that calculation, but you don't know. If these guys don't know each other well enough, then maybe there's a little bit in reserve for Ietzi, especially if Ietzi's just casually tagging on to Silverleinen for this entire race. I do think the gap is starting to eke out a little bit now, just looking now. Ietzi with a bit of a slow lap there compared to Silverleinen and Igor. But as we cut now to Morgan McCall in 15th position, he's managed to claw a couple positions back, and he's trying to get some more.
Yeah, I think, like you said, as the time goes on, Ietzi's in a good position that he hasn't got Tariq Adams right on his back bumper. But if that happens, then you get a bit more pressure to try and move yourself forward, as to the case of Silverleinen. But I think these cards obviously being set. Oh, here we have Prince KB coming into the pits. He will maybe serve it. Will he take his 15 seconds here? Or is he naturally going to come into the pits for it? That's unusual. I wasn't really expecting any pit stops.
Very unusual. Prince KB in the pits there over there. Morgan McCall now in 14th position, only down 2 from where he started off earlier on. He was way down the order just a couple of laps ago. So Morgan McCall now starts to cut his way through over there, and massive pressure through Sunset from McCall as they make their way into the left-hander. McCall is wanting to get past here. He clearly knows that he's got some pace here. This is Bauer in front of him over here, but Bauer, a very, very experienced sim racer, and not going to give up easily at all.
Yeah, nice to see Morgan McCall back, though. I haven't actually seen him in ACC since the last Pro Series, and we haven't got Junior McCall racing currently, so I have to check with Robert, his father, as to why we haven't got Junior. But it's nice to see McCall back on the circuit in his Mercedes again. He's probably loving the fact that it's a one-make series, because he's very, very quick in that Mercedes already, and now he's got an opportunity to show it against everyone else in the same machinery.
Yeah, as we go on board with 4th place man Igor, and looking back now, we go on board with 5th place man Silverleinen, looking up ahead towards Igor. And Savolainen doing fantastically well not to let Igor get too far away. And look at how close he is. Yetzi, as we mentioned, looking on. But someone that's creeping ever closer is Adam, who's slowly but surely making his way towards that pack over there. And sneaking into contention over here is Adam. We saw him yesterday in seeding. He was third in seeding yesterday, so he's definitely got the 1 lap pace. But can he do the same in this race?
Yeah, he gained 2/10 on the last lap, did Tariq Adam on Yetzi, so that gap the Yetzis have been enjoying and watching the 2 cars in front of him, hoping that they will come into contact at some point, will be not a lot. In five or so laps down, Tariq Adams could be putting a move on. And here we have another look through Sunset. You want to try and line it up the inside here, turn 10 and 11 at Learcott, but just looks like Igor gets his car in the right places at the right time.
Oh, yes, indeed. I mean, he's getting massive pressure. Here comes Savolainen down the inside now. Down the mine shop. Oh, they touch ever so slightly. Looks like it. Yetzi having a look, and we've got Savolainen now going down the inside of the mine shop.
Oh, I'm wincing.
Takes the inside line. I'm wincing too, Dad. He's got the outside line for the next corner. Igor goes down the inside, defends, and here comes the... Oh,
he's having a look up the inside. Fantastic driving throughout all 4 of these cars. But I mean, how close was that through the mine shop? You don't go side by side down there.
Adam having a look now as well as Yetzi goes down the inside. Adam goes around the outside. But they all stay in the same position over here. And nothing's changed, even though it looks like everything could have.
No, but what has changed is that gap from Yetzi to Tariq Adams is literally nothing now. So this is a 4-car sprint for the top 4, for 4th position. Everyone's in the fight.
It's 30 minutes to go as Adam has a look down the outside. Yetzi goes inside. And should he have defended there, Adam now within striking distance of this pack. And he's been watching and waiting and just watching the 2 of them, the 3 of them battling it out. And the battle continues. And Jadwat now starts to sneak ever closer as well with Minna right behind him. But the battle in front is what we're looking at the moment with these 3 guys, Igor, Savolainen, Yetzi, and now Tariq Adam also joining in the party.
It's a whole different thing to defend effectively, isn't it? It's a whole skill that you have to learn, because there's no point defending fresh air because you just end up losing time, putting yourself under more pressure. So Yetzi did defend a little bit of fresh air into Crowthorne there, and Tariq Adams is right up behind him. I think he'll be defending a little bit more than fresh air the next time they go through turn 2.
Oh, yes. Oh my goodness. Someone's run wide. That's Yetzi. Yetzi's run wide. This gives Adams the run. Adam the run down the outside. Yetzi breaks hard out, breaks himself and places the car in front of Adam. A fantastic move from Yetzi. He was
going to cut back, though. Adams on the inside now down the mine shaft. It was the cutback. He is side by side touching paint. He's going to have to drop back. He can't go to a press through here.
Yetzi getting massive pressure from Adam. I thought Adam was going to touch him there. Adam now trying to get the cut back again. But was that Yetzi braking late intentionally? He really placed that car in such a way. I mean, this is advanced racecraft over here, Dan. It really
it's the first bit of pressure the Yetzi's had to put up with, though, isn't he? And he went off wide and got a bit of gravel on his tyres, which is not going to help him at all. And now he's got Tariq Adams tucked up right behind him through the slip. As we've got bat markers and blue flags waving in front of us as well. Quite a lot of bat markers in the way. They could play a part here.
Igor and Savolainen now coming up towards Farid. Farid currently running in 38th position. So here comes Igor. Now Igor has to brake. Oh my goodness, Igor has to brake, and that slowed him down quite a bit. Savolainen gets through, no problem. Oh, watch out, Farid. Savolainen has to take avoiding maneuvers there. Farid moves over. They almost touches the wall over there. So Farid didn't cause too much havoc, but definitely some hesitation from those 2 drivers there.
Yeah, it's just such close driving. This top sort of 10 is just insane, and I dare say that it goes all the way down sort of 41st place, but we can't see it all, can we? So it's so busy in the top half of this grid where the points are really they stack as you go higher. There's points down to 40th place, but obviously the big championship points are right here at the sharp end of the grid, which ZRS is at the moment 3.3 seconds from Booth being second. But it's all about this battle for 4th right now.
All about this battle for 4th. There's a massive prize pool available per race, so these drivers are really battling it out for those prizes right now, and a little bit of bragging rights as well, I'm sure, because one-make races really do make for the bragging rights, because you now say, you know what, given the same equipment, I could smoke anyone. And that's exactly what these guys are trying to prove right now. But it's a long season, multiple races. It's not just one race. So it's just about the long game. They do, however, get to drop one race, Dan. They don't get any ballast, but they do, however, get to drop one race.
Which is always a nice thing. I'm a massive fan of that because something can happen, can't it, in one race and it's out of your control. So it's nice to have the drop round and the fact that you can really push in every possibility. And if something goes wrong, it doesn't matter. You don't want to be using a drop round in round one, though, really, do you? It would be nice to get off to a quick start because that really puts you on the back foot.
Yeah. These guys are still running close to each other. Judge Bunch is not able to get that close or close enough to this quintet over here in front of us. Tariq Adam does, however, manage to do so. Such different lines these guys are taking in places as Ietzi goes through Sunset. Tariq Adam with a little bit of a dab on the brakes over there as they're now going to the left-hander here. Gets within striking distance, some would say spitting distance of Ietzi at times. But still, the order stays much the same. But that doesn't mean the racing's been boring, that's for sure.
No, not at all. It's insane. It's reminding me of sort of British touring cars. It's just ridiculous how close these are. I'm a huge fan, and I've been converted already. We're only 35 minutes into round one.
Were you a naysayer, Dan?
Well, I wasn't a naysayer. I was just wondering how it would work, and it is just so nice to see such close racing throughout the field. I mean, we're cutting to our leader now, where the racing is not quite so close because IRS is keeping his concentration, as we've come to see from him over the years. And he's just putting in quick lap after quick lap. 0.3 quicker he was than George Boothby as they crossed the line on the last lap, so stretching his lead once more to 3.3 seconds. Just wondering where the tyre wear is going to start playing a factor, especially in that mid-pack of sort of 5th to 10th place where they've been battling so much and we're going into the last 25 minutes of this race.
Yeah, will be interesting to hear from the drivers afterwards. Corne Strauss having to call it a day. He's had some technical issues with his wheel. Said he gave his wheel a bit of a PK and then had to park the car, so the PK didn't work clearly.
Ouch.
But Corne Strauss says he's out of the running, and one of the retirements we've had, I'm sure it won't be the last one. Prince KB now all the way down in 26th position, unfortunately. So he's lost out from that 13th place we saw earlier all the way down to 26th. But that just shows, again, just one little pit stop, and that's what happened. He doesn't have that penalty on his car anymore, that 15-second penalty. So he's served that penalty, but Prince KB all the way down the order. And that's exactly what happens when it's such close racing. Any little mistake, whether it's a penalty, will cost you.
Yeah, you really can't afford a drive-through penalty of any description or a stop-go. It's going to really penalise you, and it's going to be a learning curve for Prince KB. But the big positive is that he's still running way ahead of his seeding times, and he's shown that it's possible to get right up there with pace. So he's going to take that away for round 2 and 3, no doubt, and he can still recover a little bit here, because anything in the top 20 I think Prince KB would be quite happy with.
Oh yeah, anything in the top 20 is going to be a godsend for him at this stage of the race. But having said that, it does sting a little bit when you were doing so well.
Oh, for sure it does. Yeah, really does.
But either way, a fantastic result for him so far. He's shown his pace, and maybe a bit more to come later on in the season as we go on board with Tariq Adam in 7th position. 7th position is Adam, and just in front of him is still Ietzi. But there does seem to be a little bit more of a split now up ahead.
Yeah, he's dropped. Oh, look up the inside. Savalainen is going to go up the inside for 4th position on Igor at Crowthorne.
He touches Igor.
Oh, they spun round. They've spun round.
Oh, no.
I think that might be going to the steward's room, you know. I think that might, maybe we could get a replay of that if it's a possibility. But yeah, Igor and Savalainen. I said it would get a little bit more desperate as the clock ticked down. And now we're into 20 minutes. It just looked like he was trying to force that possibly a little bit. And unfortunately, yeah, Igor spun round down into 9th position currently. But Savalainen also lost time in 8th.
Ietzi, the big winner over there, now in 4th position. I mean, it just shows what happens when you can bide your time in such a close situation. Tariq Adam now finds himself in the top 5, and Bashir Jadwat in 6th place.
I do believe Savalainen actually wait for Igor to recover because he's slotted back in 9th position behind him. If that is the case, then big up to him for good sportsmanship, because I love to see that, especially in a competitive situation like this.
Oh yeah, I do think he has.
He waited for him to rejoin. Because he dropped all the way back and on purpose he put himself behind Igor in 9th position. He could have easily carried on.
Yeah, man, it's such a shame. It was the lightest of touches, and these cars aren't as sensitive to touch as some of the other cars that you mentioned earlier, like the Lambo. But yeah, ACC does punish that sort of behavior, doesn't it?
But I think they're enjoying the battle so much. He's like, no, I'm not ready to scamper off. I want a bit more of that, please. So he just waiting for Igor to regroup on track, and we'll carry on again. It just won't be for fourth. It'll be it for eighth.
Yeah, so the two of them still battling. Speaking of fourth position, look at Yetzi now, all the way up in fourth position. He's probably going to be very, very happy with that, because it didn't look like that earlier on. I mean, we saw earlier on there was a train of cars in front of these guys, and now all of a sudden Yetzi finds himself all the way up in fourth position, but still getting pressure now from Tariq Adam. Yetzi starting in seventh, or at least he was seventh place in seeding yesterday. Tariq Adam was in third, so maybe Tariq's got some pace, but this is racing. It's not about the one lap pace, is it? It's about that pace over distance, and the distance left is about 20 minutes.
Yeah, and the average pace, it's your consistency, and that's where the top three have really separated them from the group, because you're looking at the gap through the field, there's basically nothing. And the biggest gap is from third to fourth position, 13.6 seconds from Harry Spires to Yetzi. It's the biggest gap.
Amazing.
And it's those top three, and the top, I mean, S is ahead, but he's only 3.8 seconds from Spires. There's another 3.6, and then a big 13-second gap. So those top three, you've got the South African followed by the two Brits behind, but it's the Safa that's winning right now, much to the delight, I'm sure, of the local fans.
Oh yes, oh yes.
You always love to push down. You always love to hate on the Brits, don't you, guys?
You gotta fly the flag, baby. There's nothing against you. I'm just for us.
Right. Okay.
Oh, we got some pandemonium over there. We got some pandemonium. Somebody's run wide. Trying to get some feedback from our producer who that was that ran wide in that replay over there. As we cut back to Yetzi in fourth position. Still getting pressure from Adam. Just 0.4 of a second behind. I mean, that's nothing in it as they make their way down to the first corner. Bashir Jadwat is the car you're seeing in the background over there, with him still getting pressure from Minard.
Yeah, and Jadwat's going to be happy with the 6. I mean, he's always there. He's consistent, great in race pace. And Yetzi now, his goal is to keep fourth place, because it looks like a podium's probably out of reach. There's only 18 minutes to go. And the pace of the front three runners. So Yetzi is basically just trying to concentrate and go for fourth as if it's the win. But he's got Tariq Adams putting a lot of pressure on him. And this is where looking after the tyres for the first 40 minutes of this race will pay dividends later. But it's a difficult situation to be in when you've got cars all around you.
Yeah, that's a very difficult situation to be in, especially now. I think as we get into the last 15 minutes or so, the back markers are going to be starting playing a much bigger role. And there, as we say that, there's one right over there. They're all getting out of the way, but it could change at any second and things could hot up at any moment. We've seen the order change over the last couple of minutes. So anything can happen, and Yetzi knows that better than anyone else.
Yeah, and if you are Yetzi and you're sort of forming the sort of cork in the bottle at the end of a big train of cars, that's where you just feel always, in your mind, you just get done over by blue flags and back markers, always. Just seem to approach them at the wrong places. It just feels that way. It probably isn't, but it always feels that way when you're in that situation, when you've got a lot of cars close behind you and you just want the traffic to fall favourably to you, and it doesn't. So he's going to be hoping that backmark. So far, I have to say, blue flags, we've seen cars move way out of the way. So that's nice to see.
They've gotten out of the way quite consistently at the moment. Savalainen and Igor still battling it out.
It's destined to go the whole of the series, isn't it? We're going to keep a close eye on these two. I very much enjoy watching their racing, and I have to say, the sportsmanship of Savalainen to wait for Igor to recover on circuit, it is nice to see. I encourage that for sure.
Savalainen still having a look. And speaking of sunset corners, the driver's now going to go into the sunset. I'd love to get on board as they make their way through sunset and see what that looks like. Ben McConnell there on board in 17th position. Fighting with Barkhuizen just behind him, Great right in front of him. And McConnell with the British GT flag. He's up 6th position over there.
That's had a good race. Very good race. 6 places gained on qualifying. You'll take that any day of the week.
I'll take that, definitely take that. So nothing wrong with him over there as he starts to carve his way through. And look at that, and that's the sunset we're talking about. The glare through that corner is very, very real. And drivers have been seen driving through there with one hand, holding their hand up to try and shade themselves from the glaring sun. And it's a real phenomenon out there at Kyalami.
It's amazing. It is really. I stood there at 6:30 in the evening doing a film piece, you really do appreciate how blinding it is through sunset at that sort of time in the evening, which is what we're coming up to here. It's hard just to sort of walk around it, let alone go at the speeds these guys are. That's why it gets its name. Very, very fitting.
Very fitting indeed, and the Johannesburg sunset is slightly different from other sunsets, as the sun sets over a very flat horizon. You've also got obviously some of the pollution and the smog that makes for this bright red color, spectacular to look at, but not ideal when you're trying to go around a corner in a 500 plus horsepower race car.
No, it might affect Boothby and Spires a little bit more from the UK, because their sunset is often behind clouds, so you don't get to see it at all. But in Johannesburg, it happens almost on a daily basis, and that's why it's you get a corner named after it.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder what that has to do with the other corner names as well. Some very interesting names over there. King Ingwe, which means
that's leopard, isn't it? Yeah, leopard. Yes. When you go on a game drive in Kruger and you hear the guy on the range just say Ingwe over the radio and you get all excited, that's why.
Well, somebody's just got a drive-through penalty. I'm going to try and find out who that is. That was number 30. Looks like number 30 got a drive-through. A couple of cars got a Murphy's got a drive-through penalty. We got Barkhuizen with a 15-second penalty over there. So a couple of drivers have had penalties and are continuing to get penalties.
Do we know whether that's Sorry, Ernest, we don't know whether that's track cuts or whether it's a steward-issued penalty, because at this sort of stage later in the race is where we start seeing drive-through for track cuts throughout the race.
That was a track violation, correct.
Yeah.
That was a track violation for the 30 car. Okay? So now we go on board with McConnell, and this is a hot battle. Quite right behind McConnell. Barkhuizen looking on. Barkhuizen's got himself a 15-second penalty there. So Philip Minard, as we cut to him in 7th position, is also fighting it out over there. That's Jadwat just in front of Minard, and behind him, quite a far way back, 3 seconds back, is Igor and Savalainen. Will Igor and Savalainen catch up to Minard? That is actually going to be something interesting to watch.
I also want to find out what happened with Philip Minard, because he pulled over and basically let 3 or 4 cars drive past, seemingly on its own, and now he's recovering fine. So he must have had some sort of issue, because he's still got the pace there. His last time through was a 10th quicker than Bashir Jadwat as they went across the line. So he really will be putting some pressure here to try and get back 6th position. Just to remind guys that this is an international series, but it has a South African flavour about it, is the top 3 South Africans from this series. Only the South African drivers. They're almost fighting their own individual cup, if you like, because the top 3 places will get an invitation down to the Grand Championship finals, the ATK Pro Series finals in Cape Town. So those guys will, I mean, if you're not in for it for the overall victory, you're certainly looking out for your fellow South Africans, and that's why you're not going to look out for each other, are you? You're going to be desperate to get into that top 3 if it's a possibility.
Oh, top 3 is what it's all about. Speaking of top 3, you've got Essa, Boothby and Spires currently quite solidly in the top 3 as we go along with Minard over there. The sun now legitimately, starting to set now. You can see a little bit of glare there, and these guys might drive into a little bit of darkness, at least a little bit of, Minard in 7th position there. Bashir Jadwat running a little bit wide in front of him. Savalainen now all starting to get a little bit closer to that pack. So Savalainen and Igor starting to get a little bit closer to that group up ahead, and they're not fighting each other, but certainly they will be in a fight very, very soon, I think, giving the flashing lights to that Jacobs car over there. Jacobs almost cutting them off. Jacobs didn't see him there. He turned in but hesitated. Oh, that could have been bad. He's got the Wezza sticker on the back, so some affiliation to our producer over there, Wezza.
I was wondering why he's on camera.
Yeah.
That's one way to get on camera.
Unless Wezza's competing here and producing this, I wonder.
That would be impressive. It really would be, because he's doing a fine job producing to also sort of fiddle on the sticks as well. But I mean, Savalainen, he's going to go to sleep now tonight, close his eyes, and all he's going to see is the back of Igor's Mercedes, because he's seen it for 60 minutes. I could draw a perfect picture of his livery in his mind, I'm sure.
From memory.
But it's been the best battle of this round, and I hope we see more of it as this series goes on, because it's been phenomenal driving for both of these guys.
I think so, and not a single mistake made, at least not from Igor in that sense. Savalainen gave him the littlest of taps to cause a spin out there, but Igor certainly has been playing it very cool. I mean, the kind of pressure that he must be under, and he's just soaking it up. We don't even see him going wide. We don't see the car squirreling. We don't see any of those types of situations. We don't see any hesitation from him. He's just lapping and circulating like he's going on a Sunday cruise.
And I think, I mean, the contact was regrettable, but I think these guys would have enjoyed themselves, wouldn't they? I mean, game respects game. These two have definitely got some game about them, and they should have been in the top 5 at the very least. So I think this is going to be a battle that we're going to see in future rounds. We'll see whether it goes into the desert of Laguna Seca in round 2.
Oh, I can't wait for that one. I've never casted for Laguna Seca yet, so I'm very
much looking forward. The corkscrew is a sight for sore eyes, especially from Helicam.
Oh yes, the compression that the drivers are going to be feeling over there as they make their way down that corkscrew. And there aren't that many iconic corners in the world, are there? I mean, Dingledale from Brands Hatch with the touring cars got airborne. You've got, of course, the first corner at Brands Hatch as well, down the dip, and then there's the Kyalami mine shaft and Sunset and a couple of others here and there. But then there is the one that stands atop the hill, and that is the corkscrew, and we're going to get to see these guys carving down there in giant Mercedes-Benz. I think we're going to see a couple of cars get airborne, Dan.
Yeah, you will. I mean, I mean, in VR as well. If I ever have someone come around here, I've never been on VR, I put them on my sim rig, put them in Laguna Seca, and then watch them throw up. Because after a few laps, you definitely start to feel it. So in real life, it must be insane. I'd love to go there. But that's round 2. So something to look forward to for round 2 of the Mercedes-Benz Pro Series.
Well, a friend of mine also happens to freelance for cars.co.za. You can check them out. They have a fantastic sim racing competition running at the moment. You saw the ad earlier on. He's been to Laguna Seca and driven a very fast car around there and said that it needs to be experienced to believe.
I'm sure it does. Yeah.
I think I've spoke to drivers that have raced there, and they said, look, it's more of a bike circuit than a car circuit in that sense, but the corkscrew still is one of the most epic corners in the world.
Yeah, I mean, it's what that circuit's all about, but the elevation change, obviously a dry lake bed. Anyway, I mean, we still got 8 minutes to go of this race, and we're sort of salivating over round 2. And we got Philip Minar is sort of within 3/10, and he's running out of time here. So 8 minutes to go. This is where you're going to start getting a little bit more desperate, and whether Philip Minar can actually get a pass on Bashir Jadwat. Bashir Jadwat's teammate running away here at the front, Zaya Essa, who has got a 5.3 second lead in this 60-minute sprint race. It really has been a sprint race as well, hasn't it? No one been through the pits. Everyone fueled up. I was wondering whether someone would do any change in strategy, but there's no need for it whatsoever. Yeah. Looks like they can easily cover 60 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Mercedes-Benz fuel tanks are historically quite large, so I didn't think there would be any issues on this one particularly. But Zahir Issa certainly showing us the name Masterclass is for very good reason. And when he does run wide, it's all for purpose. Even if he touches the dirt, it's because that's where the line is. It's not because he wants to touch the dirt. He's running a little bit wide over there. I mean, just an absolute demonstration of how it's done from the front of the field as we cut on board with Ben McConnell. Oh, Ben McConnell getting into a bit of a tussle there. Him and Bauer still fighting it out over there by the looks of things. Oh, nose to tail for 16th and 17th position. And Ben McConnell's done very well over there, up 7 places over there. So well done to him so far.
Up the inside here, Leocott, it's going to happen. This is a pass being made. It looks like Bauer's just struggling at the end of this session, doesn't it? He's going backwards more than forwards. He started so promisingly at the start of this race. I think he'll be a little bit disappointing with his finishing position. Yeah,
Bauer gets a 5-second penalty for his troubles, as well as 16th position at this stage. So if things go like they are with that 5-second penalty across the line,
it's almost 20th, isn't it? It'll push him down to about 20th position at this rate.
There's a bunch of cars behind him. He might be lucky enough to just lose 1 or 2, but anything can happen. There's still 6 minutes left, and you know, the last 6 minutes, a lot of things can happen. And back to this battle for 8th position. Savalainen still looking on at Igor. Igor still in front of Savalainen.
Yeah, this. I just think they're going to finish that way. I mean, it's fitting that they crossed the line sort of side by side with a sort of 0.01 second between the two, because
Sort of a Le Mans finish, if you will.
yeah, like a flying. Because I mean, they've done 55 minutes of this, haven't they? These two. It's been phenomenal battle, and I hope at the end they sort of shake hands virtually on Discord, because I think they would have enjoyed themselves.
Oh, yes, indeed. I mean, this could be a race of a lifetime for both of them. And still within striking distance is Silverline. As we now go to Bernard Barkhuizen in 18th position. And he's now starting to apply some pressure there to Gate over there just in front of him. Bernard Barkhuizen has got a penalty on his name. So I think he's going to have a 5-second penalty on his name. 15 seconds, I apologize. 15-second penalty. But he's made up 7 positions. So he's still very much in it. But I think in this particular race, Dan, these second 5, 10, 15-second penalties, or 5 and 15-second penalties, are going to cost a little bit more than they usually do.
Yeah, you've got to avoid that. And in a 60-minute with no pit stops, you've got to avoid that. Prince Kaby's in the pits. I don't know why he's suddenly in the pits, but from 24th place, so probably got an issue. You just cannot make a trip through the pit lane. Because you're just going to tank yourself in the standings. So it's all about being clean.
All about being clean, and also because, again, it's a one-make series, the times aren't split by that much. You don't have a situation where the Porsches are fast and all 5 Porsches go into the distance, or like at Monza where the Mercedes-Benz was historically very quick. You know, you've got 3 or 4 Mercedes and the rest of the guys are fighting it out for the rest. So you've got all of the guys on cars that can do similar pace, but they really are separated, just like in real GT racing, not by balance of performance, but certainly by out-and-out pace.
Yeah, I'm just still mesmerised by this battle by Silverline and Ogorognikov. We've got to get used to that name. I'm going to be practicing that.
Is that how you say it?
I think I'm going to go with Ogorognikov in 8th position, because I think that he's going to be a name we're going to see for the next 5 rounds. So it's been an epic battle. There's 4 minutes to go, and it's going to go to the end, isn't it? You can just tell it is. But they're split by nothing, these 2 drivers, one Russian and one Finnish, and nothing between the 2 of them.
Nothing between the 2 of them, indeed. Ogorognikov. There we go. Igor Ogorognikov, as you mentioned, it's a cool-sounding name, firstly, and we're probably going to have to memorize it because he will be a familiar sight on your screens, folks. If this race is anything to go by, him and Savolainen within 1/10 of a second of each other over the line there for times, and within 2/10 of a second of each other on the track at the moment as the sun sets over Kyalami in South Africa. This is the Pro Series powered by Mercedes-Benz. The first round of the 2022 season is upon us, folks, and the racing has been absolutely magnificent at this stage. These cars so evenly matched, and we once again watch this battle unfold. It looks like a battle for just below the top 10, but these guys were much further up the order early on, but certainly no quarter given by either of them, and I think they could easily be race winners as well, Dan.
Yeah, it shows you. I think we're going to have multiple race winners as this series goes on, for sure, because it's just so close. You have a little bit of good luck or a bit of misfortune, and it's going to change the order massively. So I'm not expecting anyone to run away with it. We have had Zaires he's been brilliant from the front, and he hasn't had to deal with a lot for this round, is it? So the secret for the other guys is to try and get ahead of him in qualifying. Because that's where it's going to really count. See how he battles with traffic, because that's where some of these guys have struggled, because it's difficult with so many cars on the circuit, and you can just have a little bit of misfortune and it pushes you all the way back down the field. But it's been a great first round. Gaps are just starting to form now as we come up towards the penultimate lap. 2 minutes to go in this race, but still some very tight battles, and it will go down to the wire between these two. In Savolainen is just destined, he's just desperate to try and somehow get up the inside, but it's difficult when the engine in front is the exact match for your own.
Exactly. And when Zaire Issa won the Pro Series title, you know, he did it in such dominating fashion, and he did it from many times from qualifying, and that's, everybody knows that about him, that you've got to out-qualify Zaire Issa. That's how you beat him. You can't beat him on track, and well, you can, but it's going to be a tough outing, especially if he's got the pace on you. Once he gets ahead, he's generally so cool and calm that you're not going to pressurize him into a mistake. what I think is where the chance will lie for some of these drivers is to try and get into a battle with him within the first couple of minutes, and the only way to do that is to qualify in front of him.
Yeah, the qualifying is going to be vital. It's proven that already, hasn't it, here in a 60-minute sprint race where you've got no strategy calls to try and gain an overcut and undercut, which worked very well in ACC. But here it's going to be a sprint race each round by the looks of it. And I think we've got a good mixture of circuits when you start going to Secca, so different from Spa, Suzuka, Bathurst at the end with the walls.
Oh,
I mean, what a conclusion that will be in round 6 when we start looking really deep into the championship standings. Those walls could decide the championship.
And I'm watching Morgan McCall go down the order over there. I'm not quite sure what's going on with him.
I think that's a disconnect, is it? If he's got no delta, then it may have lost Morgan McCall.
Morgan McCall's car is in the wall at the moment. I'd love to see if we can get a replay of that. Something's gone badly wrong. He's stuck on the side of the circuit, just going towards sunset. So I think we might need, if we could have a look at Morgan McCall there. He's coming out ahead of the leaders over there, and he needs to stay
very
clear.
slowly, isn't he? Yeah, there you go. Zaressa comes past him.
Yeah, Zaire Esser's coming into view now. He's going to have to take avoiding action there. Morgan McCall slots back into position.
That was almost cut back there from Morgan McCall. What more? He's off the circuit now, trying to get out of the way, but almost
some major
contact with the leader.
He's probably got some major damage that he's dealing with over there with just no minutes left on the clock. So I don't even think we've got time to look at that replay now, because we've just cut through to Zaire Esser, who is your leader, ladies and gentlemen. He qualified on pole. He was the fastest in seeding, and now he makes his way through the final section of this Kyalami circuit with no time on the clock, and he should take the flag any moment soon.
And only 4.6 seconds, it has to be said, from George Boothby. He's had a fantastic race as well. Very good. He's well worthy of his second position, is George, who took... he didn't start from second, did he? He managed to take that place and then cement it and make it his own. But only a 4.6 seconds. That's nothing in a 60-minute race.
Absolutely
from Zaire Esser.
Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The flags are out. Zaire Esser goes across the line and takes it, punches the air with absolute elation over there. Zaire Esser showing why he is part of Team Masterclass. Boothby crosses the line in second position. Spires in third place. Ietzi holds on to fourth place over there. Adam in fifth. Jadwat from the same team gets sixth place. Minar Ogorodnikov followed by Savalainen. So they do eventually cross the line in order, and Guren makes up your top 10. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the first round of the ATK Pro Series. We're going to go to some ads now, and we'll be right back with some of these sensational results and interviews with the top 3 drivers.
Welcome to Africa's first ROG arena.
Woo!
cars.co.za.
And that is what your podium looks like, ladies and gentlemen. You got Harry Spires there in third position, George Boothby playing the Guitar Hero all the way in second position. I can't believe he's a Guitar Hero world champion. I cannot wait to have that conversation with him. But of course, on the top of the podium is Zahir Esser, the South African native, getting another win in the Pro Series, and he's proven himself over and over and over again to be competitive in many facets. Dan, I mean, this guy doesn't know how to lose, eh?
No, and that's where the test comes. We know how quick he is within the South African community, but it must feel nice to take a win over international drivers as well, doesn't it? And cement himself as not just a national champion, but could he be an international one as well?
Oh, I think so. I think we've always known that about Zahid, that he could be right up there with the best in the world. But speaking of best in the world, Harry Spires now gets himself onto third place. And Dan, I know you cannot wait to have a conversation with him.
Oh, both of them. I've got two fellow Brits to talk about. I'm feeling a bit homesick at the moment, so they can tell me what it's like back in the motherland.
You told me your home was in Somerset, not you're in Somerset West, okay, not in Somerset.
No, very occasionally though I just long, and they're going into summer now, and Cape Town's horrific this weekend, isn't it? Let's be honest. So I get the family telling me how nice it is back in the UK. So we'll see with our chats from Harry and George when we can get them in.
Summer in the UK is just wonderful. Yes, it's only a week long, but other than that, it's a good week. It's a good week. It is.
We really look forward to it every year.
Well, we've got Harry joining us here, so we're going to stop talking a little bit of nonsense here and talk to our podium finisher, Harry Spires. Harry Spires, a fantastic performance, and you've shown, based on your SIMGRID profile, why you're always on the podium. A fantastic drive. How was it out there?
Yeah, it's quite a tough one actually. I wasn't expecting to finish this high up, so I was a bit south with my microphone stuff. Didn't expect to be interviewed, but yeah, it's quite a good one. I think qualified P4, was not expected to qualify that high, and then that quite a good battle early on with Savalainen, which was really enjoyable. But then the rest of the race was just sort of weighing up, like, do I consolidate P3 or do I sort of push to try and catch George? Because obviously I know George is one of the best in the game. So that was sort of just weighing that up, just whether to sort of risk crashing or just keep P3, which ended up mainly pushing to catch up with him, but the trouble is he's just so fast, so yeah, barely even made the dent in the gap. But overall, obviously we're barely back P3, it was a good race for me, I think.
Yeah, it was a great drive, Harry. Very much enjoyed listening to so watching it. You can tell from my voice, I'm a fellow Brit, so where are you from?
I'm from Watford.
Watford, excellent. Do you know what a South African rand is, Harry? Because you own 1,000 of them now, so you're going to have to go and work out the conversion.
Well, Harry Spires, a fantastic performance from you. What are your thoughts on the Pro Series so far, and what's it like racing? I mean, you obviously race against internationals many times. You have a fantastic record, and this one only proves to keep that record. What are your thoughts going into the rest of the season and your fellow competitors over here?
Yeah, it's got a really strong field. I've been keeping an eye on sign-ups all week, just sort of checking who signed up. Like, oh, please, let there be no aliens. And obviously Boothby and Fox signed up, which they're both very fast guys. But yeah, I think going ahead, it looks like a really well-run championship, and yeah, got a good foundation for a good championship, I think.
Yeah, well, I look forward to seeing how you do. I'm going through your list of accomplishments here, and you've won at many of the circuits. So I suspect we are going to be seeing you on the podium again in future. Harry Spires, congratulations on your third place, and welcome to the Pro Series.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Cool. And that is our third place winner over there, Harry Spires, all the way from, how do you say it? Watford, Dad? Watford?
Watford, yeah.
Isn't the T silent though?
No, it's Watford. Watford.
Okay, I need to check my ears then. But someone that doesn't need to check anything right now is George Boothby. George, you're not just a Guitar Hero sensation. You're also one of the best sim racers in the world. Congratulations on second place. Tell us what your experience was like out there, sandwiched between Spires and Essa.
Hey, thank you so much. Yeah, it was a really interesting race because I've been sick for like the past few weeks with COVID. So this is my first race back on the sim again, and So obviously I wanted to do as best I can. I want to like make an impression, and yeah, I mean I'm not used to this car. This is like a new car for me. I'm usually sort of McLaren, Porsche. So you know, new car. It was tough. It was tough to adapt, but I think I did well. And yeah, in qualifying, I mean, I had a lap where I bottled the last sector so bad, and it was like, you know, when you just get the perfect lap, and I was a little bit frustrated with that because I think I could have been pole. But even if I got pole, man, Essa was so fast. He just had that little bit. Like I'd respond to his laps, and then the next lap just be a few times quicker. So he's just really slowly throughout that race pulling the gap, and I was trying everything, man. I feel like I learned a lot about this car. So like hopefully for the next round I can take what I've learned from this race and apply it there. But yeah, and also I had, like you say, Harry behind me, and he was like closing, dropping off a bit close. I think he had like the sort of same thing where like he'd do a few quick laps and I'd respond, and it's kind of like a hot lap battle between us with the back markers as well. But yeah, it was awesome. I actually, like, this race has made me really appreciate this car, and also appreciate how scary it is at times. There was quite a few moments where the wall had my name on it, but we managed to avoid it, and it's a shame I couldn't have that that one-on-one sort of, you know, battle with him in a sense, like, you know, because I just couldn't catch him. But I'm sure there'll be plenty more rounds to get in the mix there, and yeah, a great race. I'm really happy with it.
It was a great race, George. We very much enjoyed watching it. All three of you were superb, and you managed to stretch a bit of a gap out from the front. Well, I mean, it being a single series, being sponsored by Mercedes-Benz and having that one car, what we've noticed, there was a lot of cars on the grid, but the battles throughout was just insane. I know you three were sort of spread a little bit out at the front, but it was such close racing. Are you looking forward to that in future, being in the same machinery, so it really comes down to the driver's skill and there's no excuses about what car you're in?
Yeah, obviously there's you can have different setups and stuff, but like you say, like, it's, even if you have the best setup in the world, you're probably looking at maybe a few tenths, if that, and I feel like you can always drive a bit around that, you know what I mean? And with your racecraft and stuff. So yeah, I did really enjoy at the start. I mean, I started at P3, and I didn't expect how close you can follow in this car, because other cars I drive in the game, if you get close behind people in downforce corners, you just drop back and you just start washing out. But this car, I don't know, this magical car, you can actually stick with them. So it was such a surprise to me on lap 1 when I think it was Savalainen in P2. I just glued myself to him through the fast S's and then sent it down the inside, and I was like, yes, I can definitely see myself enjoying this series.
Great stuff. And we even had a passing cheater, didn't we, Ernest? That was insane.
Nice.
I mean,
yeah, let's talk about that, Dan. Well spotted. George, what exactly happened there, and why did you even attempt that? I mean, nobody does that there. Nobody goes into that corner.
I mean, with Savalainen, I mean, I was just late on the brakes and it seemed to work, so... I mean,
brave, very brave.
Jeez, well, George, you've clearly got skills and a multifaceted, multi-talented man, and that puts you on the podium of the ATK Pro Series for 2022. Welcome to the Pro Series, and what a welcome. I'm sure we're going to be seeing more of you in future rounds. Look forward to it.
Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Yes, indeed, we are. George Boothby gets second position, and if you have any doubts about his Guitar Hero pedigree, go check out his YouTube channel.
I'm going to do that.
Yeah, he's got like 400,000 subs. I think he's not doing it as much. Maybe he's focusing on the sim racing stuff right yet. But Boothby, a multi-talented gentleman. He's one of those guys that, you know, they're just kind of good at everything, you know?
That's insane, isn't it? Really is impressive. I'm going to go and look at that after this.
Well, someone that is absolutely impressive and has been our Pro Series X champion, and now on his way to cement maybe another championship. Zahir Essa takes the win, and he's joining us now. Zahir Essa, we've just spoken to Boothby and Spires. They said they couldn't touch you. They tried to get to you. You were responding. We were discussing whether or not you were holding back in seeding or in qualifying. Please, I would love to hear the strategy from you in as much detail as you're willing to give us.
Hey guys,
that?
good to see you boys again.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It has been. We can catch up later. But the obviously coming into this, like I did not know the AMG at all, so I was not expecting to be that competitive. So working behind the scenes with Bash, Tarek, so it really helped get the car up to speed, but I still wasn't convinced that I was going to be up there. So to have the pace up there was good news. Great.
And I've been saying to Iressa a couple of weeks ago that you're a good export for South Africa as far as Assetto Corsa competition only goes. Obviously this is a South African series, but it's got a major international flavour. And to see you at the top of the podium of an international grid, that must give you some comfort, doesn't it? You can show you can keep it not just with the local boys, but you can push it out on the international scene as well.
Yeah, look, I'm familiar with these guys. I race with them in European leagues as well. So it's not a huge surprise to me. I know I'm up there thereabouts, which is good. But the race was very interesting. I did not have time for testing too much, so I couldn't do long runs. So the race was my test, and it was not going to plan. About like 15 minutes in, the rear tires really started to go off badly, and I thought, okay, here we go. And took me about 3 laps just to redo my driving style and lines and everything just to get back on pace, and then recover the tire wear and the tire balance. And by the end, it was great, perfect.
And what surprised you the most in this race? Whether it's the competitors, like you said, the tires. What surprised you the most as you were going through this race?
A few back markers, maybe. A couple of them maybe were a bit unsure what to do and ended up outbraking themselves, and had to avoid like maybe 3 of them. Luckily, it only cost me like about a second or 2 seconds each time. But other than that, it was surprisingly straightforward.
So you converted to the Mercedes now, Essa? Is it something that you think? I mean, we enjoyed the one make series. Obviously, you were out in the front, but we had a conversation with George. It's such close racing throughout the field because everyone in the same machinery. It's very, very interesting as we go on closer and you start battling with some guys. Is something you look forward to?
Are you sponsored this thing? Look, the AMG is not my cup of tea. I prefer rear engine cars and more single-seater style. So it really is not my driving style. But look, I could get used to it if it's close racing. No?
Yeah, but that's exactly it. We've got close racing here. We know you've got a pedigree in single-seaters, so I would imagine a rear engine setup would suit you much better. But you've now got a situation where you've got all the cars being exactly the same. How does that affect your mentality going into this? Because usually it's a mixed grid.
Yeah, so obviously depending on the tracks, where we go to, the different weather conditions, different cars have different strengths and weaknesses. So it's going to be all the same for everyone. So that's the good part for me because I don't have really time to test absolutely everything. But at the same time, if someone's running away with it at the front and found a little bit extra, it's going to take a lot of work to catch that guy.
That's what Boothby and Spies were saying about you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not convinced. That did not feel like a runaway sort of win. I was really. It was nice race throughout the whole race, but at least I got my test done, so I know how to set up the car for next time.
Yeah, it's only 4 seconds, so it's still pretty close over 60 minutes, isn't it? So it's not a huge gap at all, but you just felt like you had enough in hand to cover it.
I think so, yeah. It looked like I had a good couple tenths, so I didn't really need to throw everything at it. I just keep neat and tidy, it was enough.
Well, you threw enough at it, Zahir. You get a notification, a payment notification into your account soon for your win of the first round of the ATK Pro Series, and we're going to be bringing up the championship points. But from us, the production team over here, congratulations on your win, and I'm pretty sure we're going to be talking again very soon.
Yes, guys.
Cheers. Speak to you soon. And that was Zahir Essa, your winner of the first round of the 2022 championship, and a fantastic performance from him. A masterclass performance from him, some would say. And we've got the race results coming up on screen momentarily, Dan. And there you see it with all the points to boot. 106 points. He's just run away with this thing so far. And what are we going to see in future? There's no ballast to speak of here, but you can see that there's a lot of points getting handed out all the way down the order there.
Yeah, we're going to see some battles between Ogonogrikov and Savalainen. It's going to be that 8th and 9th position. Was just insane, wasn't it? They get 78 points and 75 points between the two of them, but I think they did cross the line within a 10th after 55 minutes of battling. So those two guys we're going to see again, and everyone else. It was such close racing. I think I will be very surprised if we get a runaway winner of this series. I think we're going to get some multiple winners, and we're going to see lots of different names spread out because the circuit's changed so much, and it's going to be really interesting to see whether some of these other guys can rise to the top and what the standings will be like when we hit that nightmare that is Mount Panorama in round 6.
Oh my goodness me, I cannot wait for that. And there you see some more familiar names over there. Leon Leroux, Kalen Mauer, Morgan McCall, William Wentworth, Aldo Bellingham there as well. So all of these guys managed to secure some points for themselves, and they are going to be wanting to continue the fight later on. And there, once again, to your right of your screen, you see all of our sponsors to make this event possible. But of course, this is the Mercedes-Benz ATK Pro Series, and I think what a car, man. I'm okay with this one-make series, Dan. Honestly, I'm liking this.
Well, Harry Spires and George Bothby, they love it, don't they? It sounds like it's their favourite car all of a sudden after one race. So we've got a few converts, and I think that's what it takes. I mean, they might not have picked this car naturally, but it's forced upon them, and all of a sudden it's like, hold on a minute, this thing's pretty epic. And we get to get a very expensive Polo Cup for the rest of the year, so I'm a happy chap.
Yeah, exactly. I look forward to it. There you have the standings for the final time, folks. And we are about to wrap things up. Thank you so much for joining us on the stream. Thank you so much for supporting the Pro Series. Thanks to the drivers, entrants, producers, everybody involved. My name is Ernest Page, joined by Dan the Man Haynes on the other side of Cape Town over there. It sounds like he's far away, but he's actually pretty close by. And we will be seeing you guys for round 2. Stay tuned to our socials for more information and championship standings. This is the 2022 Mercedes-Benz ATK Pro Series, and we'll see you guys at the next round.
Welcome to Africa's first ROG arena.
Cars.coza.